Hi guys, here's this week's important stuff in Westfield. 3 issues seem to dominate the One Westfield Place discussion. Number 1, how bad will traffic be? Number 2, is this a smart financial deal for Westfield? And 3, how the heck is Westfield and the developer going to lease out a 210,000 square foot Class A office space in Westfield? Hi, I'm Rich Hopen. I am a real estate broker with Compass in New Jersey, and I focus on Westfield. In November, before I jumped into writing this newsletter, I asked someone that worked for Streetworks a question. I said, what is the number 1 issue that you hear over and over again from the residents? And he said, without missing a heartbeat, traffic. Now, every Westfielder knows that there's a lot of traffic, especially during peak hours in Westfield. So, and it's really hard to imagine how a major redevelopment project like this isn't going to exacerbate the problem. However, traffic experts conclude otherwise. The very first public meeting at the One Westfield Place Preview Center was all about traffic. The developer's traffic consultant, Kimberly Horn, prepared a draft traffic impact study, and they went through it in great detail. And my takeaway from the presentation is that the project will create additional traffic, but the traffic infrastructure improvements will mitigate the impact. John Canning with Kimberly Horn said, quote, as part of this project, you're getting an investment by the developer to upgrade the infrastructure to make the existing streets work better and safer, end quote. Apparently, Westfield has a very antiquated traffic system, and the project is going to provide the resources to improve the signal system, improve traffic flow, and enhance pedestrian safety. It all sounds good. However, will these changes be sufficient to handle the increase in traffic? The consultants believe they will. Mayor Brindle, John Canning, and the town's traffic expert said that the traffic report is going to be peer-reviewed by the Union County Engineering Office, New Jersey Department of Transportation, and NJ Transit. And according to Liz Jeffrey, the town redevelopment consultant, there have been preliminary conversations with Union County and NJ Transit. And quote, the next step is a pre-application meeting about the entire study area. In other words, the traffic impact study, end quote. So if the county and NJ Transit approve the project and turns out that there is an increase in traffic, how will the residents view this against the benefits of the project? Will the downtown retailers thrive because Westfield becomes a destination for shoppers from around New Jersey? Will the Westfield community be strengthened as a community because residents are going to be congregating on a regular basis in the new public spaces north of the train station, south of the train station, and on Quimby Street? Will property taxes actually stay flat or maybe even come down as revenues coming in from the project? And will property values increase as a result of the attractiveness of the project? So these are all questions the residents are going to ask once the project is complete. So the second question on everyone's mind is this deal a smart financial deal for Westfield? Well, according to the town's financial experts, yes, this is a slam dunk for Westfield. Now, I've written about the financials in great detail in 2 previous newsletters, and the links to those are in the comments in this video. There are a lot of public improvements to public lands that the developer is going to be paying for. So it would not be possible for the town to get all these public improvements unless the developer was paying for them. And the developer would not be involved in this project if it wasn't under the pilot. And the pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. What is a pilot? It's a state law that enables municipalities to negotiate and execute agreements with developers when certain criteria are met. According to the town's redevelopment counsel, Steve Melnack, who's a partner at Greenbaum Law, the pilot is a powerful tool used as a financial incentive to attract private investment in an area in a need of redevelopment in a manner that's established by the municipality in a redevelopment plan that would otherwise not be financially viable. Melnack highlighted that a developer could come into Westfield and develop some pieces of the master plan, but it would not be possible to complete all aspects of the redevelopment plan without a pilot. The town administrator, Jim Gilday, stated that the proposal represents a $375 million private capital investment in Westfield, and that the size and scope of this investment is unprecedented in the state. The pilot revenue will, number 1, stabilize property taxes, 2, shift some of the tax burden from residents to commercial property owners. 3, improve municipal services. 4, fund public improvements that the town would not be able to afford, as I mentioned earlier. And 5, likely improve the property values in the town. Gilday said the project's budget impact will be easily absorbed by the anticipated infusion of pilot revenues. There's going to be $54.2 million of public improvements on public lands. That's going to be paid for by Streetworks, according to the Westfield's bond counsel, Matt Jessup. Some of the improvements include the North Avenue Town Square, the South Avenue Town Green, 2 new parking garages, one on North Avenue, one on South Avenue, traffic congestion mitigation, as we talked about a few minutes ago, Quimby Street enhancements, which is going to have a lot of streetscape improvements. The $54.2 million improvements are on land owned by the town. Initially, the improvements will be funded by the developer and 3 redevelopment area bonds. It's going to be the first one is $16.5 million for the North parking garage. Second one is $13 million for the South Avenue parking garage, and then $16.5 million for the other public improvements. Streetworks will provide $8 million to the town early in the project for improvements such as the North Avenue Town Square. Matt Jessup explained that the bonds are going to be issued over time as Streetworks development reaches certain milestones. He said the staging ensures that we don't get ahead of project revenues and over issue bonds relative to Streetworks build out and completion of the redevelopment project. So the third question is this office building, 210,000 square feet of office. Class A office building in Westfield. How's Westfield going to attract tenants? So a cornerstone of this redevelopment project is the office building, South Avenue. And there are 2 common questions asked by the citizens. Number 1, will there be enough tenant demand? And 2, why is the building so high and so large? So to understand the office demand, it's essential to understand what's going on inside of corporate real estate departments. So we all know since the pandemic, the way we're working has completely changed. Going into the office, if we go into the office at all, it's usually just a few days a week, and the demand for Class A office space has definitely declined. So according to a report by the commercial brokerage firm CBRE, 71% of the corporate real estate teams who responded said they're expanding their hybrid work program over the next 3 years. And what is hybrid work? Well, that's a flexible approach that combines working in an office and working remote, and it allows employees to work with their employer to figure out with their employer what the best schedule is for them. Corporate tenants that are building space that offers employees a work environment with physical and virtual spaces to comfortably collaborate with their colleagues is something employees are looking for today, and it helps companies attract employees and retain employees. And the beautiful thing about hybrid and the flexibility, that allows companies to change the ratio of workers who are coming into the office depending upon how business is. So in the past, if every employee was working in an office, if business was going well and the company was hiring more people, they'd have to get more office space. Conversely, if business wasn't going well and they had to lay off employees, then they would usually have to get rid of some space and sublease it. But with a flexible workspace, companies don't have to do that, or at least not to that extreme. They can adjust the ratio of how many workers are coming into the office. So what is the outlook for office leasing? So according to a report by Jones Lang LaSalle, JLL, in their Q4 2022 report, they state, in 2022, approximately 62% of the transactions greater than 10,000 square feet consisted of new leases, which was the highest percentage in a decade. This represents an uptick from the previous 2 years when new leases accounted for just over 50% of the deals. As companies look to spur their return to office efforts, they will increasingly focus on relocating their operations to higher end buildings that offer premium amenities. So the outlook by JLL aligns perfectly with HBC's Streetworks research, which shows that number 1, quality corporate tenants have been migrating from office parks to suburban markets like Westfield. 2, most of the Class A office buildings are outdated and don't meet the need of today's corporate users. And furthermore, the cost to retrofit the building is often not financially feasible, and new construction is much more appealing to corporate tenants. 3, tenants are drawn to buildings near train stations, and Westfield fits the bill for that, although it's not a one-seat ride all the time yet, but it will be. 4, Westfield would appeal to tenants who want to walk to amenities such as restaurants, coffee shops, bars, and retail. A lot of these suburban office parks, employees would have to get in their car and drive to avail themselves of those things. And then the office that's going to be built, it will be a mass timber construction office building. And this is something very innovative. It'll be the first one in the state, and there's just a few in the country. And so it'll attract national attention to Westfield. So what is mass timber? So mass timber construction is a wood product that's strong, and it's a low carbon alternative to concrete and steel.